Hey, how you doing? Me? I'm okay, Sharky. They say it takes 10,000 hours to master a particular skill. Procrastination is an art form, and one that I can wholeheartedly say that I've mastered. In fact, you could go as far as to say I've been practicing it my entire life. I mean, if you want proof, just look at the time between uploads on this channel. You wish you could be that unreliable. Well, wish no longer. I have the solution for you. Flash games. I'm sure most people at this stage have played the likes of Meat Boy, Line Rider, Gunblood, Happy Wheels, probably one of the Henry Stickmin games. Like, there's so many famous ones. I mean, as far as the internet goes, these are extremely popular time killers and have been for years now. You feel that? You feel that right there? That's childhood. Playing needlessly violent games at age 8 right under your parents' noses. I know it says it's called Torture Chamber 2, Mum, but look, he's having a great time, he's laughing, he's dancing. There's nothing inappropriate here. Do you see anything violent? Can't believe you'd think so lowly of me, Mum. Unbelievable. You see, the draw with flash games, they oftentimes represent a bold sense of ambition and effort. They're not always super polished, or even that good for that matter. But the charm tends to come from the fact that it's a developer trying to realise their vision. Whether that's an interesting narrative, humorous voice acting and dialogue, a showcase of artistic ability, or even just a unique set of captivating game mechanics, there's usually something that connects with players. I mean, the best and most successful flash games tend to have a combination of any number of these elements. They're much more appealing in a way that mainstream games aren't. They're a lot more personal because there's usually only one or two people behind the production of flash games. It's a lot more relatable because not everyone's a musician or a voice actor or God knows an artist. Bruh. But these devs are really trying to bring their concept to life in their games. It's admirable. So with that said, here are my top 10 reasons why Microsoft Edge is a pile of wank. 1. It's just Internet Explorer without the hula hoop. So it's even less fun than before. 2. It's flash games, baby! Gotcha! Gotcha good. You didn't see that coming, did you? Look at you with all that egg on you. Got a bit of egg on your face. Yeah, just a bit there. You might want to go wipe that off. In fact, you should go wipe that off. You're dripping it on my rug. That's disgusting, dude. Get out of here. Go have a shower, you dirty Herbert. Fuck off. So anyone who's ever had a lesson in a computer suite at school has more than likely at one point played a box heads game, due to the fact that there's loads of them to choose from, many of them being multiplayer, and they all follow this really simple format that's addicting and a really solid time killer. Essentially, you're a dude with a gun, in an arena, taking out as many box head zombies as you can. What the hell, dude? You can't call them that anymore, it's current year! Well, what do you suppose I call them then? I hear they prefer right Anglian. No kidding. Yeah, for real, dude. Serious stuff. You gotta call them by their proper name now. So, you're a right Anglian in an arena with a load of other right Anglian... Sorry, this is insanity. Nah, fuck it, I'm not doing this today. It's a stupid pun anyway. The game ain't even that fucking special. I don't even... Look, all you do is shoot wave after wave of zombies. We've seen everything after 5 minutes. We've done this. Let's move on already. So the next game we're looking at is called Trapped. It's one of those escape the room style point and click games that were sort of the precursor to the real life escape rooms that your colleagues will do as a team building exercise. You know the ones where they tried to get to know each other better only to realise that they hate being trapped in a small enclosed space with each other for an extended period of time outside of work too.
Why do I feel so trapped?
In this game, you play as an amnesia-stricken man trapped in a toilet and have to look for clues and combine items to get out of this locked room. The trouble is, when you escape, you realise that you're in a hostage situation and have to call upon the help of fellow hostage Diala to escape. Now, this game isn't too much in the visuals department. The creators definitely weren't artists, and that's for sure, but you really do feel like you explore every inch of the game's layout here. By far, the best part is the voice acting by talent Edwin Tiong. Edwin Tiong. This guy really hams it up.
I examined a Bible to find a bookmark. Highlighted on the page was a scripture found in John 1:1. It could lead to something. You just stand there and look pretty. I'm gonna find a way out. A matchbox labeled Ludi Cruss.
Just tell me that doesn't sound like the try-hard love child of Shadow the Hedgehog and Symphony the Night Dracula. It's a dream come true.
Benjamin Grunbo? Is that my name? Sounds familiar.
Okay, first, what the No, there is no dimension, conceivable or not, that Benjamin fucking Grunbaum sounds familiar to anyone. It sounds like a Poundland version of Chapstick or something. And secondly, what the goddamn hell? Who the fuck carries a finger in their wallet? Oh god, put it back! It's actually some kind of weird toothpick. That's it. I've had enough for one day here. There is actually a sequel to Trapped called Escape, where you play as returning hostage Diala. You can see an improvement in the presentation right out of the gate. It takes a bit more thought to figure out the puzzles this time round. This one's surprisingly good and well worth playing actually. It's better having the context from the first game, so that should only take you about 10 minutes. So I'd recommend playing both of them as a pair. Here's to hearing more spectacular voice acting from our dear friend Edwin.
Yeah, sounds swell.
Next in the lineup, we have a game called Frontier. This one really is a throwback for me. I discovered Frontier, like many of my other favourite Flash games, on a little site known as Game Fudge back in the day, and I was hooked. This has got to be up there as one of the Flash games I've spent the most time on. It's a trading game that's quite easy to pick up and play because it's so simple. First things first, however, you have to create a custom character. Now let's see here. Right, okay, that looks good. Yep. Perfect. Now I must say, he certainly does look like the height of fashion. Nothing says I'm here to make money quite like an American cereal mascot now, does it? Hey, and what better name as well for such a fine gent than Tasty Jeff? It's clear. My avatar is destined for greatness. Once you're satisfied with the character you've created, you're presented with quite a simple premise. You start in the top left-hand corner of the map, and you have to travel between towns to trade goods and make money, all the while evading buccaneers, encountering friendly mercenary parties, and being pulled aside by enforcers looking for contraband sold on the black market. How far you can travel between towns is affected by your transport vessel, and it takes a set number of days to reach each settlement. You can track your journey on the HUD when travelling and change the travel speed, but anything below the middle bar is painfully slow. What kind of sick masochist is going to use this default speed? If you want to get shit done and do it promptly, crank that shit up! Each town in a travelable radius has a crime rating and population, which influences the price of certain goods, as well as affects the amount of random encounters you'll face on your journey there, including the chance for petty thieves to potentially steal your money and equipment, or finding crates and weak travellers on the side of the road. Or as I like to call them, ATMs, because I always make sure I take out some moolah when I see these guys. However, these prices are set in each town, so you need to plan your trade routes accordingly to make the most out of every trip you take. Profit at the end of the day is still profit, and wasting a chance to make even a little gold will severely hinder you in the long run. There's also some info about the climate of each settlement and its technology, which is like, okay, not really relevant, but sure. The only thing I could even think of this affecting is the background switches during journeys, and maybe the type of vessel parties use, but I can't say I would have ever noticed this if I didn't think super hard about it like 10 minutes before writing this script. There's also something here about the town's hemisphere. What does that even mean? Oh, okay, it just means what corner of the map it's in. Thanks. I really needed help with the geographical location of the town in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. It's not like I had already dragged my mouse all the way down to this corner just to see what town it is. There's multiple endings to this game that depend on your playstyle. There are two campaigns here. The Buccaneers, where you rise at the ranks of a criminal syndicate at the expense of your own positive reputation and with constant run-ins with the law in an easier set of missions. Or there's the Enforcers, the game's hard mode that makes you a respectable keeper of the peace. These campaigns encourage different playstyles and traversal options to explore the entirety of the world. If, however, you're like me and you think both of those options sound absolutely lame for total squares, you can just go and get kicked out of both guilds. Go make a mint on your own, you know? That's the way we winners do it. There's a bunch of different vessels that you can upgrade through to carry more trade items and party members for each journey. Thing is, the best vessel in the game, the Vanguard, which I guess is some land pirate ship thing, has a really low cost to acquire and carries 150 items and up to 5 party members. If you can save up enough for 1 diamond and 10 cloth, then you jump from 0 to 100, and that isn't really that hard to do. That's when you can really start making money. The trick is to make every journey profitable. When you have the extra space in your vessel, you can bring weak travellers to the nearest settlement for a reward, and if they have good stats, you can keep them in your party for a small fee every journey. Once you've got enough money and collected enough weapons and armour to properly kit out your party, you can just start slaughtering anyone you encounter for their items and gold. And, if you get really powerful, you can take on entire settlements. This makes it so you get paid a sum of gold every time you visit a conquered settlement, and it usually ends up covering your party's wages. When you've got the funds to buy multiple diamonds at any one time, or if you're strong enough to fight off the enforcers, multiple narcotics at any time, then you can pretty much just cheese the game. Here's how I did it. Find 2 towns where one of these 2 goods has a huge profit margin from the town adjacent, and make sure the other town has a different good that you can make money on a return trip. Here I picked Rubik's and Lucca because the narcotics profit margin from Lucca to Rubik's is a staggering 4,444 gold. Any other leftover gold was spent on other black market goods like poisons. The good thing about this is I can still make money on trading silver on the way back to Lucca, even if it's only a small margin. Every little helps here. Be sure to take over both towns to receive extra wonga on each trip, because at this point you're basically unstoppable. Rob what you can from the roadside, murder anyone who so much as breathes near you, and rinse and repeat until you're a millionaire. Completed it, mate. I beat the game, and now Tasty Jeff has become an evil corporate entity like he always dreamed of being. Obviously, this does kind of defeat the point of the game, but at the same time, I still had so much fun whilst recording this video that I actually did beat the game this way. It also nearly took me an hour to do so imagine how much content there'd be if you actually played the game properly. Frontier is one seriously awesome game, and well worth your time if you've got some to kill, which I know you all do, given the fact that there's a plague currently sweeping our entire world. The only real setback is there's a few bugs here and there. Nothing game breaking, usually, but stuff that's just a bit less than text format, leading equals to, greater than, less than P. Nothing wrong with this image. Clearly the programmer just wanted to simulate real inertia on icy terrain. It's very clever, actually. This one actually caused me to refresh the page, which luckily the game saves your progress, so it only boots you back to the last town you visited. A similar thing happened here too, but this time with some dude who gave so little fucks about getting robbed that he just laid there gliding across the floor like... I also encountered this weird bug where the minimap wouldn't show how close I was to the next town, or even show me that I was moving at all. The only reason I knew I was still travelling was because the distance I had remaining was still ticking down. These are minor gripes though, and really aren't enough to set the game back for me. Frontier is something special, and a game that I never see anyone talk about when discussing Flash games. So here I am making up for that. Go play it, it's worth it. Now I'm sure many of you know this one. Age of War is a really simple concept at its core. You're pit against a computer opponent in a race to defeat the other first in a war of attrition. You slowly make more and more money as you take down the opponent's soldiers and gradually work your way up through different time periods. It goes from the Stone Age, to medieval, to a Renaissance-like era, to a modern era, and finally a futuristic era. You get a choice of a basic melee soldier, a projectile-based soldier, a power soldier, and 3 types of turret per era. As a kid, I actually used to think that the Dino Rider was some sort of goblin man rocking some sick Mohican, but upon closer inspection for this video, I disappointingly realised it's just a regular caveman wearing a dinosaur skull. I've got to say, this realisation shattered my perception of this design. I really preferred what I saw as a kid. I mean, I really hope you can see what I mean with this, but it's probably just my crazy imagination running away with itself. That's okay though. Science has since come up with amazing medicine to cure my affliction, so I'm sorted. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, Age of War has 3 difficulty settings that increasingly skew favour to the opponent's AI by giving them more funds, experience, health and attack power, which feels really unfair when attempting to play the game the way it was intended to be played. However, this is me we're talking about, so naturally I found a loophole. By way of trial and error, I found that putting all of your funds into a pattern of melee, ranged, and spamming it constantly creates so many soldiers that even the opposing computer can't keep up. If you've got a little extra to spare as well, you could even throw a power soldier into the mix. So long as you use your special move whenever the computer starts to catch up and evolve ASAP, you'll eventually reach the final time period where you can buy a super soldier for $100,000 and watch in delight as the computer struggles to even lay a finger on him. That's what you get, you cheap ass bitch! Thing is, once you get this pattern down, you can spam the shit out out of it and beat even the impossible difficulty with ease. Although, if it weren't for the special moves, this would absolutely be impossible. I know, I did this with the last game too, but what can I say? You programmed the exploit into the game, developer. Don't blame me for your lack of foresight. Go back to your mum's basement and animate a big old thumb to suck in Flash, you crybaby. Jesus. Age of War is a quick bit of fun, I suppose, but ultimately nowhere near as good as I remembered. Which leads me quite nicely to the next game in the lineup. This here is Clear Vision. As a series, it's actually reached quite a fair amount of popularity over the years, to the point of even being ported to the App Store and Google Play. You play as Hitman Jake, a stick dude with a dark past and a lust for revenge. This game's really breaking new territory here, let me tell you. We get this whole plot set up where his parents get murdered by this red-eyed general fella, but like, ultimately it doesn't mean anything because it gets forgotten about right up until the stupid cliffhanger ending, and by that point you just don't care. See, I don't really mind spoiling the ending of this game because 1, chances are you've already played Clear Vision, 2, the ending gets retconned in the next game, and 3, you probably don't really care. Me either, man. Basically, the gameplay revolves around shooting the correct target in each stage so as to move on to your next hit. Problem is, you can only shoot your victims in the head, with the exception of one stage where, sure, you can do that, but you're actually meant to drop a sandbag on the performer's head during a stage show, as a crowd jeers and boos. I can't help but feel the audience reaction here is just a little inappropriate. Just a smidge. Dude, bros! What? I didn't know you were gonna die for real. That's disgusting! Jesus! Bloody hell, I just got gypped. I just got absolutely gypped. This sucks, man. I'm leaving. No one reacts properly to the people around them just dropping dead all of a sudden. So much so that they're so oblivious that they don't even notice any shots that miss, even if they would realistically hit their bodies. The presentation is okay, although that's not to say it's good. It's like tidying one room in a mansion owned by a hoarder and just giving up there. Sure, okay, well done, you did it. Good job. But there's still quite a lot more you could do to keep the ball rolling. And well, the sequels do a good job of kicking the ball in the right direction. I may look at them in the future, but for now I'll just say that even as early as Clear Vision 2, most of my complaints have been addressed, and there's so much more polish. If you ask me, the best Flash game in the Clear Vision series is Clear Vision Elite, as you often have more targets that will not only return fire when attacked, but also have a certain way to dispatch that you have to figure out. And there's a lot more situational elements you need to consider, like your type of rifle and your distance from the target. These add a lot more depth, challenge and variety to the experience, instead of just going boop, boop, fucking boop. I'm not joking when I say I beat Clear Vision in 6 minutes. All you need to do is go to the stage, find the target, and click their stupid little domes. Only play this game if you want to see how far the series has come in its lifespan. It's super mindless. Moving on, we have Thing Thing Arena 2. I know the Thing Thing series of Flash games has quite the number of entries, but as I recall, I only really played this one. And I'll get into why in just a second. Now, this game has a very cheesy but admittedly pretty rad intro sequence that is very much in keeping with the time it was born into. Oh damn, I can customize my character. Okay, let's see. You know, I'm gonna give him flowing white hair like Dante, and he's gotta have long red coat, you know, like Dante. Oh, and he's definitely going to need some spiky sneakers, because, you know, it's pretty much a trademark of Dante. Ah, magnificent. Now, a badass original character needs a badass name.
A few moments later.
I got it. XX, Anime Crusher, X. Perfect. So we've got a few game modes to pick here, but they all look pretty standard for an arena game, and hold on. What the Bombay bad boy is Stinky Bean mode? I don't remember this as a kid. This is horrible. Why would anyone make this and then put a fez on it as if to say that this isn't the worst thing anyone's ever created? These abominable little fucks look like they were banished from fucking Fruity Land for being just too inbred. Just FYI, you have to have an IQ of at least 215 to understand that joke, so sorry normies. And to all my fellow Rick and Morty fans out there, Keep it real, guys. The other game modes are basically just the same here, just with different enemy types. But what really drew me to this particular installment in the Thing series as a kid was this unsuspecting little feature here. Practice mode is basically an interactive gun range with a full armory available to you to test out the variety of firearms at your disposal. Oh god, this is so cute that this was programmed into the game. Look, there's destructible mannequins that deteriorate differently depending on the type of gun you use on them and where the shot lands. It's so simple but so cool. I love this as a proof of concept. I really wish it was incorporated more into the gameplay, or even into other Flash games for that matter. Having such vivid visual feedback on enemies and destructible objects is so satisfying. There's also this really cool secret boss fight in practice mode, alluded to by this sign, that's so tough I didn't even bother trying to beat it after the first attempt. I did it once as a kid and that was hard enough. As a boss, the guy behind the counter is harder than a teenage boy watching a naughty scene in Game of Thrones for the first time. And that shit's hard. Overall, this one's good stuff. Just don't touch this game mode. I nearly forgot to add this next game to the script. Here we have Territory War. For a Flash game, it's rad. It's not much of a looker and the gameplay isn't all too deep, but if you like any of the Worms games, chances are you'll enjoy this one if you've got nothing else to do. I say this because it works very similarly to Worms. Two teams are pitted against each other to fight to the death. Whichever team is still standing at the end wins. Where Territory War differs from Worms, however, is that you don't have a whole arsenal of weapons at your disposal. You only have 3 methods of damaging your opponent. A grenade, which, if thrown carelessly, can backfire on your own team too. A rifle, which will instantly kill an opponent if lined up for a perfect headshot, but will miss if you stand too close. And by far the most satisfying of the attacks, the boot. You wind this bad boy up when there's a pit nearby and your enemies are gonna go splash. No hard feelings, Steve. There's a campaign of 10 solid missions across a small range of stages, a time attack challenge mode to test your aiming and throwing abilities complete with a rating system for how quickly you beat each stage, and a 2-player mode where you can fully customise your own deathmatch against a friend. This is a lot of content for a simple Flash game, and the multiplayer really increases the replayability. With it, you can choose how many team members you want from a range of 2 to 6, give them all stupid names and hats, and select which of the stages you want to play on. Of course, this means you can create whatever stupid scenario you want with what you're given. And I did just that. Would you expect anything less from me? Coming in next from Newgrounds, may I introduce to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, an epic fantasy adventure of mysticism, towering adversity, and great peril. The Legend of Zelda and the Lampshade of No Real Significance. Okay, maybe I lied a little about the first two, but the peril's real. I'm feeling that peril. And I can tell you now, it ain't because this is the Dark Souls of Flash games. No. It's more like the overly tedious, slow-moving fetch quest of Flash games, because that's literally what it is. One long fetch quest for a bunch of unrelated video game characters from series that have nothing to do with Zelda. Oof, yeah. I'm sure you shuddered at that thought too. It's weird though. I remember liking it as a kid, but not really understanding any of the winks and nods to other video game franchises. These days, I do understand them, and they really don't do anything for me. The game features versions of Kirby, Samus, Solid Snake, Dante, Heihachi, and even references the NES Light Zapper. Here's the thing though, when your references don't serve any purpose or provide any real humorous scenarios, why are they even there? I mean, Tekken's big boy himself, Heihachi, just wants to die, Samus is tragically having a midlife crisis whilst moving on to her 13th Happy Meal, and Kirby is packing heat, but like, why? Why are these characters here, and why are they all so unhinged? I didn't even realise that this was supposed to be Snake for most of the game. I genuinely thought he was a homeless dude waiting to jump someone from the Newgrounds HQ. Jesus. This logo makes me feel old. This is way back when PC World was its own standalone company and had those ads where the hand cursor would reach out of the PC monitor to shake some guy's hand. You guys remember those, right? No? Okay then. The only thing actually worth playing this game for these days is the introductory boss fight, which serves as the only funny joke in the whole game, and it's like done in 10 seconds. I'd give this one a miss. It's not as charming as I remember. Speaking of charming though, here's a game that I can wholeheartedly say has only ripened with age. I present to you Back to the Future, starring this little dirt block, Q-Boy, and he's gonna make sure that you don't forget that that's his name.
Or am I?
Q-Boy my name, save you my game. Sounds impossible, boss. Very well, I will do it. Q-Boy out.
Good luck, Q-Boy.
Q-Boy out. Qboy.com. Oops, I mean Newgrounds. Can you play Q-Boy is the Greatest by Q-Boy? Knock knock.
Who there?
Not Q-Boy. Goodbye.
This is just one of a number of Q-Boy games that were made to tie into the Flash animation series of the same name. Q-Boy is the brainchild of Will Arbuckle and Andy Dennis, who are collectively known as Edible Castle. And I must say, these guys are extremely talented. But what's the point in me telling you when I can show you? Right out of the gate you can tell that, if nothing else, Edible Castle really had a distinct and pleasing aesthetic. Here Q-Boy is sent back to the Wild West, and this is conveyed to you instantly through the visuals. As you'd expect from a Flash game called Back to the Future, everything in this world is a box. Here the world itself is a box, and everything takes place on top of it within a small environment enclosed in a 5x5 grid. This doesn't sound like a lot of space, and really it's not. But the game manages to cram as much personality and visual flair into every inch of this very limited real estate. Not only is this great for familiarising yourself with the different environments, but the fact that every area is condensed into a small square means you'll never get lost. You've only got 4 edges to a square, and most of the time you've only got 1 or 2 routes you can take in any given space, so navigation is straightforward, quick and easily recognisable. Sometimes you can even see the landmarks on the outermost boundaries of each area, so there's no excuse for getting lost whatsoever. It's usually made abundantly clear through the visuals what areas are adjacent to the current screen you're on. There's also some really fun sound effects and a good number of catchy original songs, be it an atmospheric piece suited to your current location, or a silly jingle.
I am a winner.
Most tracks also feature a great deal of zany a cappella incorporated into them, and it's very bouncy and energetic, and paired with the visuals it makes exploring new areas super exciting. It's super endearing and a joy to my ears. Really. But it's not just the visuals and environment that are brimming with charmingly quirky details. The main draw here is the large variety of colourful characters you'll encounter and how Q-Boy interacts with them. You can tell who everyone is and what they're about from a moment's glance, but you can get an even better grasp for their characteristics from their voice acting and how they respond to Q-Boy's dry, narcissistic and outright bizarre comments.
I'm going to pull your whiskers out and donate them to charity.
These really lead to some of the best moments in the game. Q-Boy's extremely matter-of-fact delivery, coupled with his consistent verbal spasms and funny mannerisms, make for lines that had me belly laughing on a number of occasions.
Gammy underwear, eh? Well, no thank you. I have a fresh pair on. I have a knife allergy. I bid you good day. I've always wanted to be a lady of the night.
Well now, that doesn't surprise me too much.
You with the mustache. I'm going to eat it.
What did my stash ever do to you, you meanie?
Now I've gushed non-stop so far about the artistic elements of Back to the Future, but how does the game actually play? Well, really simply actually. Primarily, it's a point-and-click adventure that manages to ditch all of the tedium associated with the genre, largely in part due to how simplistic everything is. You click, Q-Boy walks, and you're not waiting for ages for him to get there because, as I said before, this is a 5x5 grid with a lot of the spaces on said grid being taken up by environmental geometry. There's only so much space you can actually walk in, and this kind of limitation by way of inhabited space is perfect for this sort of game. Sometimes you'll find objects to pick up, and sometimes you'll find something to interact with, and with how condensed and close by everything is, making your way to these interactable elements is almost instant. There's also a recurring minigame you'll have to play to progress, where you have a gunslinging showdown with an enemy cowboy. And playing these segments is as easy as waiting for the signpost to say draw, and hitting your spacebar before your opponent shoots. Okay, I hear that doesn't sound that riveting in the gameplay department, but it does certainly switch things up a little bit. Plus, besides, how could you get bored looking at all these cute death animations? Almost every enemy has a unique one. I mean, look at that! How could you not love that? Oh, Q-Boy. Only you could make killing adorable. Now, if everything I told you wasn't quite enough to sell you on Back to the Future, there are actually in-game rewards for playing and interacting with the world's inhabitants. Costumes! You can fully customise Q-Boy with any costume pieces you collect along your journey, and you even have a couple of instances of costumes you can only unlock if you choose certain dialogue paths. It's like in Skyrim's quest Ill Met by Moonlight, where you can receive one of 2 Daedric artifacts by either choosing to help Werewolf Sinding fight off a load of hunters on his tail in exchange for the Ring of Hircine, or slay him and skin him to receive the Saviour's hide armour. Excuse me, what? I see. So, apparently that analogy doesn't work because you can kind of get the ring from Sinding and then still kill him and receive the armour. Because that's clearly where this analogy fails. Not the fact that I'm comparing this to this and fucking
I ate
this.
spaghetti today.
Bottom line is you receive different costumes for making different choices and discoveries, so it encourages replayability. That's what I'm saying, okay? Let's go. Let's move on. Let's keep it moving. If you couldn't already tell, I love Back to the Future and the Cuboy character as a whole. There's actually a Back to the Future 2, and it takes a formula from this game and expands on it in a different time period whilst introducing new features and more wacky new faces. It's very much a must play. I cannot recommend Back to the Future enough, and honestly, I'm surprised the publisher hasn't picked up the series for a bigger experience on maybe Steam or the eShop or something like that. I mean, it's perfectly suited to a digital marketplace, and it would definitely open up the opportunity for more players to experience Cuboy. Having Cuboy stuck in a web-based game format that's no longer being supported when he lends himself perfectly to the indie gaming scene is such a disservice to such a stylish and genuinely funny series. Sadly, it seems that Edible Castle has been inactive for quite a long time now, and it's really unfortunate because Cuboy, as the lovably demented character he is, hasn't seen nearly enough spotlight thus far. I think we as idle players of Flash games, when we have nothing better to do, owe it to this talented duo to show support for a web series that is far from spent. The amount of polish here exceeds that of your typical Flash game and sort of blurs the line between web-based browser game and traditional mainstream games published for consoles and online marketplaces, much in the same way that Alien Hominid famously did back in 2004. Cheers, Edible Castle. This one's going to stick with me for a long time. Wow, that was a long look at some Flash games that really stood out to me growing up. At risk of dating this video, I know you're all struggling to occupy your time with COVID-19 going on at the moment, so maybe try some of these out. Kill a bit of time, you know, you never know what you might connect with. Now, believe it or not, this video was originally going to be longer because I was going to look at the old websites for CBBC, CITV, Lego, possibly CBeebies and possibly Cocoa Pops because they all had Flash games that I played to death. However, I couldn't get them to work on the Wayback Machine. Now, I'm not sure if it's something to do with the Wayback Machine or if it's the fact that they run on an outdated version of flashplayer, but I just couldn't get them to work. And it's really quite sad because I used to play these games to death. But if you do know how to get these games to work, then please let me know. I would love to know. Please leave a comment or send me a tweet or an email or a DM. Do whatever you need to do, just get in contact with me because I would love to feature these in another video. Other than that, I think that's all I've got to offer you for today. So thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I really hope I inspired you to go and play some of these games. There's a lot of devs out there that really deserve a lot more love for the work they do. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a blast, and I'll see you in the next one. Before you go, I'd like to draw your attention to the new channel makeover. I know I've only had 2 videos in the past, but I decided that I needed an update to my channel aesthetic because I wanted something that reflected me as a 20-year-old rather than me as a 16-year-old when I first made this channel. Now, to do this I required some help, so I called upon my good friend Rhianna of Amnisty Art to create some channel art for me, and what she's produced is fantastic. In fact, you can see it just in the background of this video, just up here. She's incredibly talented, and I am totally enamoured with her art style. She mainly uses watercolours and it looks beautiful. It's gorgeous. See, what I asked her to do for me was create this channel art using all these reference images that just didn't make sense together. It was like a jigsaw puzzle with different pieces from different jigsaws, and it ended up being a bit of a chaotic mishmash of reference images slapped on a Pinterest board, and she somehow managed to pull through and give me something like incredible for what I asked her to do for me. So if you guys really like my channel artwork and you want to see more from her style, then I will leave a link to her Instagram and her Etsy store and whatever else she asked me to provide, so you can go and check out more and possibly buy a print, commission her, do whatever. She really deserves more attention, and I think that this is a good way to say thank you for all of the hard work you put in when creating my absolutely fantastic artwork. So thank you, Rhianna. And I'd also like to direct your attention to the end card you're currently watching and the channel banner on my channel, because both of those were created by another good friend of mine, Anisa from Clash 27, and she is incredible. She's a very talented graphic design artist, writer, many things. We talked a lot about what we wanted to create for the banner and for this end card, and we did a lot of brainstorming and made a lot of Pinterest boards and whatever, and the result that we've got is fantastic, and I couldn't be happier. And so thank you very much for putting up with all my little adjustments and my little oh, I wonder if we could do this and I wonder if we could do that. Really appreciate it, and it's really paid off because it looks fantastic. So thank you very much again. I will leave a link to her Instagram page and any other links that she wants me to provide. I promise I'm looking to make more videos very soon. I've written a few scripts, I've got a few ideas, I've been collecting some footage, I'm working on stuff. Whether it comes out or not is subject to my own personal belief. I don't want to provide crap content, I want it to be good. So if I don't think it's good enough, I may just shelve it, which may cause a delay until the next upload. But there will be another upload, which you can be happy about, I suppose, if you like my videos. It'll be 2023 before the next upload. So I'll leave a link to my previous video here and a link to my Instagram and Twitter as well. Thank you once more for watching, stay tuned and stay safe. Having such a vivid it's really difficult to say after what I can only assume was a triple JD. Bloody hell. JD was not a good idea. I'm sure it was funny. I'm sure it was a funny bit. That was a lot to have at once. Jesus. Got him.